Hello, my name is Erin, and we are coming to you from Dances with Wool. This is Keyser.
Hi there.
Keyser's one of our fabulous employees and teachers of most of our weaving classes. And today, for Inspire Me, what we're going to do is talk to you about how to approach a large-scale fiber event like Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, which is coming up very soon. And so we're going to give you some tips and tricks about how to think through, make your game plan, approach these festivals. Keisha's going to share with you a great methodology she's developed over the years, and then I'm going to share some specific tricks and tips for Maryland Sheep and Wool. So Keisha, how do you approach a big festival like Maryland with 250 vendors and all that stuff?
So I get overwhelmed really easily by those large events. And so the only way that I can kind of stay focused and keep on track is to plan ahead. So that is my key point, is just to plan ahead. And it doesn't take that long. The first thing I think about is my budget, and that's kind of a bummer, but you do have to have that.
Yeah.
So I think about my budget and what I have available to spend at the event, and part of that is also recognizing that there will be impulse purchases and there will be FOMO purchases, because
It's more of a range than a hard number.
Right, exactly. So if, especially if you're going with a group of friends and you go into a booth and there's a really cool sample and everybody says, let's make this together, and that wasn't in my plan, but you have to be willing to go with the flow just a little bit. So there's that. So planning ahead. And so the first thing I think about is my budget. And then the second thing I think about is it a single day event or is it a multi-day event? And it could be a multi-day event that I'm only going one single day. So I have to think about, am I going for one day or if I'm going for 2 days? And usually I'll kind of make one lap around and check everything out and see what all the vendors are and everything, and then I'll kind of go back around again for my purchasing round. So kind of that's one way of doing it. That's just the way I do it. So one of the things that I do is I make this little trifold thing. I don't even know how to describe it.
Cool, this little card that she does.
But it is a 9x5 piece of paper that is scored twice so that it folds into a 3x5, which will fit perfectly into your wallet. So that's why I like it. And I get really craftsy with it, and I put the Maryland logo on the front. But I picked 3 projects that I'm going to specifically be looking for, and that is in my little trifold. And I print off pictures and I tape it on. And I also write down the information about each project. So like this is a sweater that I'm going to look for, the Lotus by Hannah Ruman. And it requires 2 colors of DK weight yarn. So I put down all the information.
And the exact yardage you need for the size
For my size. I also will write down the original yarn that the designer designed the piece in so that I can find something that's similar to that. And then I'll also write any notes to myself. So like for this particular one, there's color work, and I thought it might be really interesting to do that with a color changing yarn. So I put down a little light bulb for myself to say, let's look for that particular project, and I'll be looking for a yarn that has color changes in it for the color work, which I thought might be kind of interesting. So I will write that down.
And you'll do that for each of the projects.
For each one. Right. So you can kind of see I've got different projects in here. Another thing that I do is I've chosen 3 different projects. I chose a wrap, I chose a sweater, and I chose a pair of socks. And I like to do that because it makes it kind of fun, because I'm looking at all different things.
Different weights of yarn.
Different types of yarn. So that's kind of fun. And it also helps keep me focused, which is always an issue, because it's
very easy to get.
Like squirrel.
Yes.
There's lots of squirrels there, so you have to be careful. So I'll pick a number of projects. I'll vary the number of projects. I'll vary the weights of yarn of the projects, vary the fiber even maybe. So that way I get a chance to kind of really take advantage of the festival.
And I love that you write it all down, because that makes it quick and easy to access it, because there's nothing worse than standing in a vendor booth and like trying to scroll through Ravelry to what could I make with this?
Right.
You don't want to be doing
You
that.
don't want to do that. And also, I'm a little bit old school. I like to have it written down just in case you're not getting great signal on your phone or something like that. So that works well for me. So I just like to write it all out. And it also, I get to be creative and make my little thing. And then it's a little memento from each festival that I've been to. So I have that. I also will put in my little folder, I will research the vendors ahead of time, which I highly recommend going on the Maryland Sheep and Wool website, and they have the vendor list up, and if you click on each vendor, it's a link to their website, so you'll kind of get a sense of what they will have. Spend a little time going through it, and then you can I've written down a few of the vendors that I personally would like to go to. So I've
priority list.
Yes, these are the ones that I want to make sure that I go and see. So like Urban Girl or Yarn Hero. I know Yarn Hero's got that color changing yarn that I was talking about. So I was going to go to their booth and look. Busy Peach, just a few other ones. So I have that written down. And then the other thing that I put on here, because, there's way more than just yarn there. So notions, for me, I've got a list and some pictures of some notions that I want to make sure that I look for. So that's one thing. And it is important. I mean, you should have your phone with you. You can take pictures at the booths of all the samples. You can take pictures so that you just remember, so that maybe you may not be able to purchase from that particular vendor within your budget this time around, but maybe in the future you might want to do a project with their products. You can remember. So, because I can't remember anything, so either it has to get written down or it goes in my phone. Yeah. So that's that. And each vendor, if you want to get a card from them, that's great. But one of the things that I have learned is that they actually might not have cards anymore. They may have a QR code that you scan with your phone. So they'll show you a little QR code, you scan it, and their contact information will automatically download into your contacts on your phone, which is fabulous. But I have found that if you do that, then their contact is in your phone. I still like to take a note that I took their information because then it's not just hiding in my contacts. Because ask me how I know that.
No, that's a great tip. Yeah, absolutely. I love the way you have everything written down. And it just makes it so much faster and easier. Like you said, it fits right in your wallet.
It fits right in.
And then you won't lose it.
Right. Well, I have my wallet with me because I'm going to want to make purchases. So then I have my list with me.
It's perfect. So these are all fabulous tips for any large scale event, which Maryland Sheep and Wool is. So I've been attending the festival for the better part of 15 years, and I've been a volunteer for the last several years. So I'm going to give you some insight into Maryland itself if you've never been before. It is always the first full weekend in May, and if you live anywhere on the East Coast, you know that early May weather can be very unpredictable. So my number one tip is check the weather before you go. The town that the fairgrounds are located in is called West Friendship, Maryland Friendship. And so that's what you want to plug into your weather app or weather.com or what have you. I like to watch the weather for a good week or so leading up to the festival, because even if it doesn't rain that weekend, if it has rained previously during the week,
no rain.
We're hoping no rain this year, but if it does, it will be muddy. This is an outdoor primarily event. There are vendors that are inside barns, but most vendors are outside, and it will get muddy if it's rained. If it hasn't been muddy, if it hasn't rained, then it'll be dusty and dirty. So good footwear is the number one thing to make sure you have. You're going to be walking a lot. Comfy footwear. And if it's going to be muddy, you want something that can handle the mud. If it's going to be dry, you don't want sandals. There are going to be a lot of people, a lot of sheep. Your foot's going to get stepped on. Stick with closed-toed, comfy shoes. There are some places to sit in the Rabbit Barn. Check the festival map. The Rabbit Barn, hot tip, has picnic tables and chairs in it. If you need to sit down, get in out of the heat or the rain or what have you for a little while, rest your feet, that's a good place to check out. So Tickets to the festival are $10 per day. This year there's no like weekend package. You just buy a ticket for each day you're going to go. You can get those ahead of time on the festival website if you'd like, or you can always buy your tickets right there at the front gate. They take cash, obviously, or checks. If you are going to buy your ticket at the front gate, I recommend bringing exact change because they'll have a dedicated line for that. It'll move a little bit faster.
So no credit cards.
No credit cards for the entrance. It's only cash or check. Now, most of the vendors will obviously always take cash. They'll all take card. Most vendors will not take check payments anymore. So it's cash or card for the vendors, but it's cash or a check, no cards for the front entrance. That's a good point. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about food. So most of the food vendors at the festival they are folks who've got an annual contract with the fairgrounds, right? So they're there for whatever event. Doesn't matter if it's Sheep and Wool Festival, the State Fair, underwater basket weaving contest, whatever. They're there for everything. And those are mostly your typical fair foods, right? Fried things on a stick. Pizza, hot dogs, all that kind, ice cream, that kind of stuff.
All the treats.
All the treats, delicious stuff. But if you have any kind of dietary restrictions, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, you may find it a little bit challenging. So you may want to consider just packing and bringing a lunch. You can absolutely bring food on the fairgrounds, totally fine. The only rules are no alcohol and no glass. You also may want to pack a lunch.
Yeah, pack your lunch because then you don't have to wait in line. So there's more time to shop.
The lines do get long from about
Very
11
long.
a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you know you don't want to take a lunch, you're like fair food, ribbon chips, bring it on, I can't wait.
Oh,
then
ribbon chips.
Oh,
Yum.
yeah. You may want to consider getting in line before 11 or a little bit later in the afternoon when the lines go down. So in terms of other stuff to do, there's lots of stuff to do besides shop. You could literally only spend $10 for your admission ticket and that's it, and still have a fabulous day at a big event, but especially at Maryland. So much to look at. So my highlights that I always like to tell people about: the skein and garment competition. That's going to be located in the main exhibition hall annex building. And that is, people submit crazy,
Gorgeous.
amazing projects every year. So definitely go in there, take a look, be amazed. All kinds of variety of fiber crafts that people submit. Another big highlight that happens on Sunday morning specifically is the sheep to shawl competition. So for this, the team will literally start with fleece on the hoof, a fleece that's still on a sheep. And a shearer will shear the fleece, and some spinners will take the fleece and card it up and spin it into yarn, and then a weaver will weave a shawl. The whole thing from fleece on the hoof to finished object takes about 3.5 hours, and it's fabulous.
Awesome.
The teams have themes, they dress up in costumes. It's so much fun. So if you're going to be there on Sunday morning, definitely check it out. And speaking of sheep, this is the largest sheep show in the country. It's one of the largest livestock shows in the country, and approximately 600 to 700 sheep come across the fairgrounds, along with alpacas and bunnies and goats and other fiber animals. So go check out the sheep. You can go visit them.
Get a selfie.
You can get a selfie with a sheep. You can pet the friendly ones and talk to their shepherds. They all love to talk about their animals. So if you ever have any questions, definitely go and check that out.
Some vendors even have yarn that they can tell you which
Right,
animal
because they
it
raise
came
the
from,
animal. Mhm.
and then you can buy, and the animal's right there,
Yeah.
so you can see Dolly and buy Dolly's yarn.
Absolutely. So really lots of fun. And then other things besides yarn, pottery and food and all kinds of other things too.
I saw there was going to be some glass vendors, and there's going to be a vendor that actually has wool shoes.
Yes, I know. It's
That's going to be so cool.
So, like Keyser said, plan ahead, right? Check the Maryland Sheep and Wool website, which is sheepandwool.org. That tells you how old this festival is. That's their website. That's going to be where your vendor list, your map, your schedule of events, all that kind of stuff is located. We're going to link that and a couple of other places in the comments in the description box on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube, or in the comments if you're watching us on Facebook. But there's also a great online Facebook group called the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival Online Community. A little bit of a mouthful, but that's a great place to go because a lot of the vendors will post previews of what they're bringing. And it's a good place to ask questions. If you're looking for something specific,
Right.
just ask in the group. And I guarantee you'll probably get multiple people who will say, oh, if you're looking for that, you got to go check this vendor out. They will have exactly what you're looking for.
Right.
Great resource. So don't forget about that. It is the 50th anniversary of the festival this year in 2023. They're going to have all kinds of some special events, special swag. There's a whole barn full
Tote
of
bags, t-shirts,
anything you can
stickers,
imagine that's
pins.
got the logo on it. So that's going to be fun. So don't miss out on that. So we hope this video is helpful for you, whether you're planning to attend Maryland Sheep and Wool specifically or any other large event like a Stitches show or Vogue Knitting Live. We hope you found some tips and some tricks to help navigate your experience. And we thank you for watching us and hope you will join us next time for another Inspire Me.
Hope to see you on the fairgrounds. Bye.